There it goes.
Pretty much on time.
Now let's just hope this interface works. Like 5 buttons on here that say go live. You gotta click them all, I guess. I don't know. That could be us. That could be us. Let's see. I think it says live.
Well, let's hope so. Finally made it, 4 o'clock on Sunday. Jimmy Doane Show.
That's right.
We got a lot of stuff. Since the last time we were on, I just thought I'd mention Jimmy was in the hospital about 2 weeks ago. That's why one of the reasons we missed about 2 weeks worth. I had to go in the hospital because of an aneurysm. Big one. Big aneurysm. And they needed to find a way to fix it. And the way they were going to fix it was with a stent.
Uh-huh.
And they said it was too big, that the aneurysm was too big to open me up like they did with my lungs.
Uh-huh.
So they said what we have to do is to, we come in through your major vein or whatever it is with the stent.
They give you a pill. And
I'm out cold.
Regenerate.
Out cold, well, wish. But it was big, large, and the doctor said, geez, where'd this come from? Anyway, so they ordered up the stent from Australia.
Right.
And it came in, and they called me a couple days ago and said, you're scheduled for Wednesday.
Come get your stent.
Come get your stent, that's right. And you're okay. And of course, the hospital's been pretty well cleaned out, except for the emergency people. But apparently, this stent to fix the aneurysm is not an emergency. They called me and said they had another half dozen coronavirus people in the hospital, so don't come.
Yeah.
So I'm in limbo until they got the stent there and everything.
So you're not going in?
Not going in Wednesday, no.
Okay.
So I was going to go in Wednesday, but so anyway, it means we're all look, this aneurysm has been there for at least a year anyway. So they said that if it busts, I'm dead anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's big, very large.
So this could be the last show, folks. You never know.
Show. That's right.
Today is the 29th of March.
Yeah, we're coming here at the end of the. Let's see, March came in like a lamb, and it looks like it's going out like a lamb. It's hot.
Yeah.
And
well, it's super hot here in Florida.
Well. Anyways, what I did is I had collected headlines from the last 2 weeks, but we didn't do it. I didn't do a show, and then I didn't do a show, and so anyway, I went ahead and collected headlines this morning.
Okay.
And this pretty much says it all.
Okay.
Let me start off with Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
He predicts America's coronavirus death toll will be 100,000 to 200,000, with somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 million people that might get the virus, okay? Millions of people will be infected, and lockdowns across the United States will not be lifted next week, as the president said. The president said Easter, which is like the middle
of... According to Fauci, he's going to make the rule there?
That's right, he's going to make the rule. A lot of other people are making rules too, which is interesting. We're seeing that, and of course, one of the things...
talk about that.
We're going to talk about that. But I thought that his prediction, of course, now is, and I think we've... I don't know what the actual nationwide death toll...
Well, I've got a graphic for us here.
Okay, good. So we'll know what it is already.
Yeah.
And they're talking about doubling every week or something. And of course, Nancy Pelosi had to make this about Trump. As the president fiddles, people are dying, says Nancy.
Well, that's her job.
I know it is. She blasts Donald Trump's deadly denials as U.S. coronavirus outbreak takes off with the death toll doubling to $2,000 and 2,000 bodies in a day.
Yeah.
So that's the politicians are out there in force, obviously, and mostly it's Trump's fault. And
Well,
it is interesting because we were talking also about the New York thing. We'll talk about that, I guess. Cuomo.
Yeah.
Apparently, Cuomo insists that Trump's travel restrictions changed nothing for New York, and says the state feels under attack by Trump as he orders a lockdown to stay in place for another 2 weeks, as apparently the New York state death toll has hit almost 1,000 people so far. Now, one of the things that's interesting is, of course, everybody now is from their house. They've got all set up. I saw some of the setups that the news people have in their house, and they're pretty nice. They're pretty nice setups. They've got, they got the camera, the stuff. They got
Some of them have like kids in the back.
No, I know that. But I'm saying that some of the other ones have got a regular room, and they apparently. I saw some of the equipment, and
they don't have this.
No, they don't have it. That's right. They don't have this. But I thought it was interesting that, of course, apparently Cuomo, we've noticed, a lot of people are saying, well, he looks presidential.
Oh, sure. Well,
he was dressed in a thing with the emblazoned with the thing just as if the president does with his insignia. Whenever you always see him with the insignia on his blazer, and so. Cuomo has decided to look just the same, only insignia is obviously New York State or whatever it is.
Right. Okay. So we want to talk about the election first.
Well, we can get there. The election. You want to drift into that now?
I figure this show's going to be all over the place because there's so many things and it crisscrosses so many different ways.
I mean, every which way.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's overlapping. It's been weeks since we started this. I mean, as for Cuomo. I mean, sure. I mean, there's a question of where's Joe Biden. I mean, I guess he's sheltering in place and whatever, and apparently he's had not too great technical assistance with his podcasts or whatever. But
and Bernie's the same way. Where's Bernie?
Well, Bernie lost.
Okay.
I mean, let's face it.
It's like where's Waldo?
Bernie's been out. He's been out since like Super Tuesday. So, but Joe, you would expect. I mean, if you're running for president right now, man, I mean, you should be out there like Cuomo. But that's obviously Cuomo's stealing his thunder. Is that what you're coughing up right there? Is that what
I'm coughing up my coronavirus. Yeah.
No, look, he's out there. He's doing whatever. His state's the epicenter at this point, so you would
Although
expect...
it's interesting, so other people are starting to claim that they are coming up to be an epicenter. Detroit and someplace in Michigan and
Louisiana,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, even Florida has been looked at. South Florida.
Speaking of Florida, of course, not only is Florida, what they've done is this is great. They're setting. Do you understand? These states are setting up checkpoints.
Yeah, I know.
At the borders, and so they've set a checkpoint up apparently in Pensacola.
Sure, whatever.
What they're doing in Rhode Island, they're going around and looking for New York plates.
Oh yeah.
To people that have gone to Rhode Island.
Don't they have those cars that?
Yes.
That drive around and identify people.
Yeah, and they stop them.
No, I mean.
The cops are looking for New York license plates. Thank you.
No, I mean, we've reported previously on cop cars that have the instant identification technology, a little rotating camera, and they just drive the car down the road and it picks up every license plate that it sees and identifies it.
What they're doing, apparently, what I understand, is that instead of using that, they are simply looking for New York license plates, and those are the ones they stop, not from anybody else, because they're worried that since New York's the epicenter, that people are fleeing to their homes in Rhode Island or whatever they're doing, and so they're stopping, saying, what are you doing here?
Fleeing.
Yeah. I mean, what do you? I don't know what you do, but
look here. We got to back up and take a broader look at this whole thing, and the question is, how much authority can the authorities assert over all the people in terms of their movement? You can't set up checkpoints at. I mean, they're doing it.
They're doing it. That's the thing. So They're in this town.
I know.
They're doing stuff that's illegal. It's illegal. You can't do that.
Well, I know.
But they got a gun.
Reading the order. Exactly. I was just reading the order. You know, they're in committee right now working on the third stay-at-home order to try to
that's
make
locally here, yeah.
Right, comply, because of course it can't comply because nobody has the authority to just order everybody to stay at home.
No.
I'm sorry, this is America. We're a free country. You don't get to just tell everybody to stay home.
Well, you do if you're in another country.
In another country, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're in this country, you can try. But I've seen where some attorneys general around the states have started to come out and say, this can.
You know, you got a constitution here in the state, not to mention the Fed, that says no can do.
Exactly. And I know everybody's worried about it, but the good news about that is if everybody's worried, everybody will do it voluntarily.
Exactly. That's the key. I mean, I was you know, who was skeptical a month or two ago, have said, well, I'm not going out because, like, as you know, with my lung transplant,
could be a prime suspect.
In the age I got 2 strikes against me just walking out the door, so obviously I'm not going to do that. But I did drive out to get some food the other night, some takeout. Mm-hmm. You know, so you hide there and. You know, you stand off to the side, and when the food's ready, you reach through the door and grab it. You know, it's like a speakeasy.
Spray your hands.
Spray your hand, right? You clean that up and you bring it home because the place itself is closed. I mean, for going in and sitting down. But they said that right now, I was talking to them, and apparently they're running about 30% of their normal volume because 70% of the people are staying home here in Gainesville. But the thing about it is, how do you enforce it?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and here's the way that I've come up with. I mean, the way that I see this,
they do shaming.
Well, right, and that's fine, but what's going on is there's different levels. First of all, you have the federal level. And from my perspective, the feds can't do anything in terms of enforcement. So
it's a state problem.
Well, exactly. Well, enforcement is always a state problem. The feds don't have troops or police to send out. I mean, they have a very limited amount of marshals to enforce some high-level rules, but they don't have people control level troops.
No.
And so that falls to the states
or
the Army if it gets to it or whatever.
National Guard.
Right. But we're not at that place yet. And so the feds should just be issuing recommendations. They should just be saying, look, this is what we recommend based on what the doc says here. And then the governors then obviously have more power. Under the Constitution, the governors have an incredible amount of power. Actually, not under the Constitution, but just in general law and common law, the states have plenary power. If they want to order everybody to stay home, technically the governor can do that, even in spite of the Constitution. But from my perspective, it's just all wrong, and certainly municipalities can't do that. And like our municipality has issued a thing. I read the order. If you read through the statutes, if you violate the stay-at-home order, it's a second-degree misdemeanor.
Okay.
So they can put you in jail for 2 months if they want to. Now, are they going to do that? I mean, I noticed Honolulu has been sending the police out to ticket people who are out. So that
I put a couple of them in jail. I saw.
I see. Yeah, I saw where they ticketed 70 people and arrested 2. I guarantee you those 2 were highly belligerent. I mean, my guess is that those 2 were not happy about getting the ticket.
This certainly was resisting arrest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a secondary charge in there.
Right. There's no question.
But the point is that you don't need this huge socialist movement, this giant fascist, I guess is what you call it. Whatever it is, it's government control. You don't
touching my face.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need that kind of stuff, and yet we're seeing it everywhere, and it's unfortunate. And I hope that there's. I mean, in this whole thing, there's going to be so much additional state control and power. It's ridiculous.
Well, a lot of it's unfortunate because as this control ramps up, they're jumping in with both feet.
I know.
On this, and it's fixing itself. A lot of it is, for instance, the grocery stores. Last week, if you went over here to Publix, and of course they're cleaned out of toilet paper and the stuff you put on
I want to get to that in a second.
Okay, they were cleaned out of, I think, hamburgers, a couple of things, and they were letting people come in. They had the rule the municipal rule here was one person for every 1,000 square feet, and they said, and a lot of people said, geez, that's in the Publix, that's nothing burger. I mean, that's way far away, and you're going to brush past people. So the lines, anyway, what happened was there were lines out there that had 100 people in them, and they weren't all 6 feet apart, and. But they tried to. I mean, so anyway, yesterday I happened to go out. When I went out to get the food, I came back by the Publix, and there were 3 people in the line. Mrs. Jimmy, today, went shopping at the Publix and walked right in. No, there was no line. She went in, got stuff that she had to get, and in fact, some of the stuff, she said that they had toilet paper, but they were restricting it. You could get one bag of it or something like that. So they still didn't have yet the hand sanitizer or whatever, but basically a lot of the stuff that they were out of literally a week ago was all there. It was pretty much all back. And I'm going to see that, I'm going to project that I heard that the people up here, Georgia Pacific or whoever it is that makes toilet paper in Georgia, they are ramping up 24/7. And it's going to be buried in toilet paper here probably by next week. And I would guess that the lines at Publix will diminish considerably. Although if you're only going to allow 30 people in there, 35 people in at a time, somebody else, now they're saying, well, look, one person per 1,000 square feet, that's no good. I mean, you need to have one person per 500 would be plenty, or 300 square feet.
Well, okay, look, another thing people have to realize, which I've been saying this from the beginning, Americans are not staying home for the next 9 months.
No.
It's not going to happen.
They're not going to stay home for the next 3 months.
Well, they're not even staying for the next month.
Not the next month.
Okay, I'm telling you, by May 1st, everybody's going back to work. And that's the way that it should be, because if you look at this virus a little closer, and now we have some information. We first reported about this on January 31st. You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, we were super
early.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had this graphic up at the time. Whoops, not that graphic. We had this graphic up at the time. Where is it? This one, which attempted to plot contagiousness and lethality on the same graph here, but as you can see, it provided us a range in here. And this is a stupid graph, unfortunately, because it's logarithmic, so you can't really tell how big the separation is between these.
Yeah, each one is 10 times.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to look at the scale as you look at it and kind of estimate. But what we know now is that this particular virus is in the transmission number of about 3, which means that every person infects 3 additional people.
Okay.
That's the average rate of transmission for this thing. So if you extrapolate that over time, it grows very rapidly. That's different from, say, the regular flu, which you can see over here to the far left, which is down at 1.3 transmission. If you double that a bunch of times, you don't get nearly the number that you get from the other rate.
And the thing, my question though about this, of course, is the latency period. And apparently,
Well, that's
the latency
the other problem
period here is 2 weeks.
Well, that's the other problem. And not only that, but while you're being infected, that is, while it's growing inside of you, apparently it produces a vastly larger number of the virus than prior coronavirus.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience, when we were kids and we got smallpox or measles, we actually had it. Now, the latency period on that was only a couple of days, max. But bottom line was, that's why everybody got it, because you'd go to school and you'd infect, here you are in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, and you play with all the kids and everything, but even during the day or two before it showed, you infected everybody else, and I'll tell you, it was pretty rampant where I was.
And that's what this has obviously done. I mean,
2 weeks you got it.
The infections for this has been remarkably high.
Yeah.
And people have done a bunch of stuff like the social distancing and the masks and everything else. So there's, and it's good that people are doing the stuff that they, like the social distancing and the staying at home. Everybody should stay at home right now, because we should be trying to flatten the curve, as they say.
Yeah.
And what that means is all we're trying to do is keep the numbers from spiking now while we're not prepared to treat people with all the proper stuff. The proper stuff being, of course, hospital beds, ventilators, and the drugs. and the masks and the, like you said, the other stuff that we want, like the hand sanitizer and those kinds of things. And if we can just hold off the spread for a little while, we can accumulate vast amounts of those supplies and be ready when this thing really kicks into gear. However, we're gonna need one thing that unfortunately is in short supply in America right now, and that is capitalism. Because this place is replete with freaking commies right now, and they don't want anybody to make a profit off of helping people during this virus. No. And unfortunately, they have no clue as to how the supply and demand works. You can't just limit people to normal profits in a time like this.
No.
Because then you're going to get the normal supply line.
Right.
You've got to allow people to charge overtime and double overtime. If you want Georgia Pacific up there working 24/7, you better pay the crap out of those people.
Yeah.
And this to me, it's killing me, because I see this, they talk about the mask shortages online. I see this. There's no mask shortage. What's happening is Amazon is shutting down sellers. They've closed thousands of accounts of these sellers who are trying to get people the masks. And the reason is because they want to charge $5 a mask or something like this. And Amazon's like, oh my God, that's horrible, because normally they're only 50 cents a mask.
Right.
Well, guess what? Too bad. There's a spike in demand right now, and you have to let the price float. Otherwise, you get what we got right now, which is a shortage. And that's why there's no freaking toilet paper at the Publix.
Yeah.
If they would just let them charge $5 a roll or something down there, everybody would get toilet paper. And yeah, some people wouldn't get their Starbucks lattes that day or every day, but you would have the stuff that you really need. And you have to let the buyers and the sellers make those decisions. We've got instead this stupid socialist top-down approach where somebody's going, nope, I think the number should be $3 per mask and nobody can sell it for more than that. And you're like, look, shut the fuck up. The fucking buyers want the shit now. Yeah, I'm going off here. Sorry. Warning, alert.
Yeah.
Because I'm sick and tired of this shit. They are on YouTube, they're on Amazon shaming these sellers. You'll see a seller, and then the comments below will be, arrest this person.
Right, I've seen
And
that.
it's like, what the hell are you doing? This person is trying to sell the essential equipment, and you're saving somebody the latte money, but it's the person who wants the damn mask. And so we've got this huge mismatch right now. You've got things like ventilators, they're saying are $30,000 a piece. Meanwhile, Dyson has created one for $100 or something. You've got people online, the MIT one is supposed to be able to be made for $125. You could have people switching their industries right now over to the new stuff, like Elon Musk was talking about making ventilators. But you're going to have to let the people charge, and I don't mean normal amounts. You have to let them charge big numbers, because you can't, look, everybody knows when you start up a business, you make no money in the first year. You make no money in the first year. You lose money in the first year of a business, because there's investments, there's time, there's all this kind of stuff you have to put into it, and you're eventually expecting to eke out a return. This thing's going to be over in a year. Nobody's going to refit their entire business for a few months worth of work and product and profit unless the profit is very high. So you got people sitting on their hands everywhere because nobody wants to take the chance of getting arrested by the Attorney General for gouging, for taking somebody's coffee money. And it's just, I'm sick of it. It's like, ugh.
Well, they do have. Tell me what you really think. Tell me what you really think. No, you're right. You're right. It is interesting, because I was talking to Ms. Jimmy about this the other day, and we were trying to figure out what is gouging.
Right.
And
yeah, she's one of them.
She's one of them, and she says, you can't, that's immoral. I said, that has nothing to do with, morality has nothing to do with this. If you want a mask, if you really want it that badly, then you'll pay the $10.
It's perfectly moral.
But then I said, so what do you think a fair price would be? I said, now normally you could get the thing for 50 cents. So what do you think, $3? No. How about $2.59? How about $2.49?
And she got an amount.
And she got an amount that for her was the right amount. I said, well, who are you?
Well, exactly. She's one buyer.
Who are you to decide that's
the ceiling?
Is there any chance that the person next door would pay the extra dime, the extra dollar for it?
Or penny.
So you wouldn't have that mask?
Right.
So,
and this is, I'm again, what we need now more than ever is unbridled, unfettered capitalism.
well, the other thing that you have, unfortunately, with a lot of this stuff has to do with the medical devices, especially, have to pass by the regulatory agencies. Now they
No
have
question.
some regulations have been lifted temporarily,
Thank
and of course,
God.
huh?
Thank God.
Yeah, well, not only that, I'm saying if you can lift them now, why were they there in the first place?
Well, exactly, and the fact is we've got blankets of overlapping regulations that are useless and slow down the chain of service, and the distribution is totally interrupted by these regulations. It's stuff like, look, I got a friend who literally is sitting on pallets of these masks, ready to sell them. Can't sell them to the hospitals because there's too much red tape.
Yeah.
That's just it. It's red tape. It is bureaucracy. It is socialism. It is universal fucking healthcare.
Well, they have to, as you know, almost everything that you buy has to have a FDA stamp on it.
That's what
some
I'm saying.
kind of a stamp
These
on it.
actually are FDA approved even.
Even that, but I'm just saying that what's interesting, I was reminded when you're talking about this, of airplane radios, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
The regular old an airplane radio is 5 times the cost of your normal radio, because, I mean, I remember when people, when GPSs first started, people would just grab their car GPS and put it in the airplane, and didn't have the air. It had all the roads and everything, but even the first GPS that had the airfields on them, they were pretty cheap because they were portable. You know, you could take it and buy, so they were pretty cheap. But then, if they're going to be installed in the airplane, you have to have the weight and the balance. You know, it's an extra 10 ounces towards the front of the plane, and you have to do all the paperwork.
Some bureaucratic nightmare,
That's right.
which raises the price 5 times, and that's
Absolutely.
what we're going through right now. And if you look around, if you can't get what you need, blame the stupid regulations, because there are people willing, ready, and able to get you the stuff right now if you're willing to part with a few extra dollars.
Well, the other thing you have to realize is there are people willing and able to shoot you if you don't go with the regulations.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They
will
they're
whip
out
you.
there
They
to
will put
arrest
you in jail.
Right.
At the point of a gun. I thought it was interesting. The New York City mayor, this is De Blasio, has closed the synagogues, and he says because for coronavirus or be shut down permanently. At the point of no, you can't, because this is more than 10 people or whatever it is in a synagogue. So I understand how important people's faith are to them, and we need our faith at this time of crisis. But we do not need gatherings that it will endanger people. So basically, by decree, de Blasio has shut down the synagogues.
It's amazing, and
it's just public safety. Of course, everything, as you know, is public safety.
Well, of course. Look, I understand the motivation, but
who doesn't know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is everybody understands? Everybody understands.
Maybe if you're an 18-year-old college student or 21-year-old college student, and it's spring break, you're an idiot. You're stupid. You're going to go to the beach, whatever it is, and you're going to get something bad. You're probably going to get drunk and fall down anyway.
Exactly. You know, they're talking about. I mean, look, those kids are in danger of catching stuff anyway. Exactly. So. Look, you just don't need to have these gigantic restrictions on the people like that. But the other thing.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the one thing we have to remember about this particular virus is if you're under 60, this is actually less deadly than the regular flu.
Really?
Yes.
I was looking at a chart.
I was trying to pull it up.
I was looking at a chart, and it seemed like there was preponderance of people in the 30s to 50 area that were more, maybe because there's not as many people over 60 that exist, but it looked like there was, if you added those numbers up, I think they're the ones that...
Ann Coulter tweeted one that I've seen a few different places, and I wish I'd pulled it up now, but it basically shows the deadliness so far per age group, and it measures it against flu per age group.
Oh, okay, yes, I've seen that.
And flu is higher flu attacks young people. This does not. You know, it's like so it kills more young people, the regular flu does, than this. It's only when you pass into the 50s that it starts getting really rough on people. And
I'm from the 50s.
No, I mean age.
Oh.
And so the concept is though people in their 60s and 70s and 80s it's far more deadly for the graph goes up like that. So if you're in your 80s, or if you have pre-existing conditions, yeah, exactly. Well, you know, one thing, I watched a little video about how this virus works and kills, and what it does is it releases itself and it causes your immune system to respond. And
I don't have an immune system.
Well, exactly. So you may be protected in that way because your system may not respond to it in the way that harms people. But what it does is your immune system responds, causes your body to basically, your lungs to stop working very well, like it fills them up with fluid, and then the rest of your body doesn't get the oxygen it needs.
Right.
So if you have problems with the rest of your body or somewhere else, and if you have a liver damage or some heart damage, it's going to be exacerbated by this. That's why it kills you that way. So
I can tell you from when I was in the hospital, my lungs filled up with water, but there's a pill. They gave me a pill.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I emptied out over about 5 liters of liquid and was able to breathe. I mean, it's just that it happened all within 12 hours.
People have been talking about the hydroxychloroquine or whatever it is, and the zithromycin and the Z-Paks and whatever, and I haven't heard too much about its effectiveness yet, which is interesting because Boris has been infected for a little while now. Prince Charles was infected for a little while now. We've got celebrities. You can't tell me Tom Hanks didn't get the Z-Pak and whatever chloroquine he wanted or whatever. And I'm wondering where the reports are on those people. And there's apparently there's several still pieces of information we don't have about this.
Well, one of the problems we got is we have a lot of anecdotal information.
Right.
Lots of that. I mean, if Princess so-and-so was dead.
Well, you just ignore everything.
18, yeah, no.
You know, every time I see, an 18-year-old got it, so 18-year-old should watch out. Look, that's an anecdotal.
There was a 4-month-old baby that got it.
That's okay. It happens. There's also a 101-year-old man who got it and survived.
Yeah.
So I mean, look,
it's okay
not,
to be over 100.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
so
it.
look, you take it. It's the numbers. You average everything together. They've done that, and they know basically what it is at this point.
Well, what a lot of people don't understand, of course, as you said before, people are just not going to stand for this. They're going to go do some. And so when you see that De Blasio says that New Yorkers should be ready for the city to stay closed until the end of May, and predicts more than half of the 8.6 million population will become infected. Now, so he's talking about over 4 million people in New York City will be affected.
What's the economy of New York? It's like $1 trillion.
Yeah. I know, but
he's going to shut down $1 trillion worth of economic activity.
Well, again, and if you think that they're going to stand for this, those people, they're going to be walking out there. I mean, it's going to remind me a little bit of the end of V for Vendetta, when they had all the soldiers lined up on one end and all the other people with the mask on.
Yeah, Guy Fawkes mask.
The Guy Fawkes, and the police people said, "We're not having any of this. We're out of here."
Look, it's.
That's what you're going to. Now, this is what's going to happen, of course, is when you see this kind of civil unrest and people have really come to the end of their string. That, unfortunately, is going to create something in our society. Once people realize that they can get away with some of this stuff, it's going to be hard to go back. And that's what they're fomenting, I think, by putting these restrictions that they shouldn't do anyway. And because the market would already figure it out. As I say, you can go over here right now and you find that people, some of them are shaming and so forth, and some of them are joking about it. You do it too close, but not my problem, not my business.
Yeah, well, that's the problem is, as you said. I mean, it's not a problem, but what's going to happen is very soon, like this week, the young people will start going out, and they'll be assembling whether you like it or not.
Well, the other thing is when you say the young people, what about parents with their kids at home?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
And they've got kids that are 8, 9, 10 years old. I don't want them around the house. Little rugrats, get out.
Well, and now it's been a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Give it another week or two.
No, if you think adults are stir crazy, try a 4-year-old.
Right. So yeah, and then put them all in the same room together.
Yeah.
And we're talking about serious man. I'm surprised we haven't seen more psychologists come out and talk about people and their inability to simply, you can't just turn off a human. You can't just say, look, all that stuff you've been doing for 20, 40 years, your daily routine.
How about for the last 10,000 years, called human nature?
Well, I'm just talking about, individual people
Right.
act out of habit.
Right.
You get up in the morning at the same time, whether your alarm clock goes off or not.
Right.
You go to your work and stuff. You change that entirely. Your mind goes into vacation mode. It thinks, oh, okay, I'm on a vacation or something. And you can do that for a couple or 3 weeks. And after that, your mind goes, what the hell happened to all that stuff that was really important like 3 weeks ago? Like you've been conditioned. You've conditioned yourself to believe that work is extremely important. It has to be in order for you to get up in the morning and go there. And you're just going to blow that off? I'm sorry. No, it's not going to happen. I don't care what you try. People will be going back to work just out of sheer force of habit. And something's going to happen. At some point, some company is going to have to break ranks. And they're going to have to come out like Chick-fil-A and say, you know what? We're opening up. If you want to arrest us or fine us or whatever it is, come on. But we're opening up. And once somebody big like that opens up, other people will be like, yeah, okay, you know what? We need to open up too. And people will, there'll be a cascade. And I'm thinking it's going to happen in this month, in April, because it has to, because people just have to get back to work. There's too much at stake. The trillions of dollars we're talking about support all kinds of life and security. You can't just take that out of the system and put it back in with paper on a check that you just write from the Fed. It's not going to work.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
So, I mean, it's just amazing, but we need to get to the point, they need to flatten the curve just a little bit, build up supplies as much as possible, and then put people back to work and let the young people just get this thing and get through it and not have a problem with it. Keep the old people sequestered and quarantined. Whatever you want to do, stay away from the young people, but and make sure that you've got the supplies, and then ride it out, because it's just, at some point we're going to have to face the music. You cannot shut down the economy for more than a few weeks. It's just not going to work.
No, it is. But by the same token, I think there's some other people, as they rearrange their life for a little while, might find some things that they don't need to do. They might find some things that they've been part of their daily routine that really not that important.
Well, there are a couple of good benefits that'll come out of this.
Yeah.
I mean, one, we'll see, obviously, homeschooling, the education system's going to be totally
isn't that the truth?
Changed.
Yeah, because when you realize, here, I believe, is it here in Alachua County that they've closed the schools for the rest of the year?
I heard that. Now, when they say rest of the year, I think
they mean until July,
yeah,
or June or July. They're supposed to open up in September.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Well, what's going to happen is there will be so many parents who are like, you know what? First of all, I didn't realize my kid wasn't learning shit in school.
Right.
They didn't know crap when they came home and we started quizzing them ourselves. B, we were able to teach them a whole bunch of stuff and in a short period of time, and so what the hell are they doing over there?
Right.
Well,
that should always be the question. There's a couple of things that go along with this. What I'm kind of curious to know. In the summertime, generally speaking, there's either going on vacation, mm-hmm, or here in Gainesville, we've got a couple of public pools that open up. Mm-hmm. People spend a lot of time at the parks and in the we have a large pool right up the road here, and I'm wondering, is that going to be closed? I mean, this is where the kids...
It's closed for now.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm wondering, if of course, there's a lot of chlorine in there, so it might kill something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what
I don't know what it is either, but my point is that those outlets, the summer outlets for parents and children, are going to be closed down. So now what's going to happen?
Well, they're not. They're not going to be closed down. I'm predicting right now that everybody will reverse course here in April. I think Trump's right. By Easter, things have got to spring back open.
Yeah.
That's just
well, Easter's what, in about 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's April 12th, I think,
yeah,
something like that.
It's 2 weeks.
So this is
2 weeks.
Yeah. Look, it's going to happen. They're going to open back up. Everybody should just get prepared. But I'm just hopeful that another good benefit from this whole thing is work from home capacity has is going to be vastly expanded.
Yeah.
People's ability to do work remotely from their cars or from anywhere. They're going to, all that stuff, Zoom and all those teledoc, all those things, all those places where you can work online. Man, that's going to be, that's going to change things significantly as well. So there's at least a couple of good things, but unfortunately, and we got to get to this at some point, the money.
Well, here we are.
Okay.
After the Fed unleashes firepower, Washington rearms the central bank. Now, one of the things that you're supposed to know is the Fed is supposed to be independent.
Right.
So Congress, the White House, give Federal Reserve more power to handle economic response to the coronavirus. Now, what's happened is they had the $2 trillion, $2.2 trillion stimulus package. And basically what they've said is the Federal Reserve quickly deployed half a dozen emergency lending programs over the past 2 weeks to ensure that cash keeps coursing through the U.S. financial system. Well, the problem is when you dump $2 trillion into the financial system, it is, how can I put this? It has to affect the prices of normal stuff.
Right.
When you eject cash suddenly, like that, into the system, into the hands of spenders, these are people that are actually going to spend money. These are people that are not going to invest it. They're going to spend the money to keep people working so that they can spend money, they can buy stuff. And these are not investment dollars. These are not savings dollars. They were before. But they've said, what they said is this money, when it goes to companies, you're not allowed to buy back your stock, which would be kind of an investment thing. And I'm guessing that you're not allowed to build a new building or something, which would be an investment for future consumption kind of thing. It's to be mostly to go out there so you spend. Well, the first thing that happens is when all this extra money comes in, that's called inflation.
Right.
And you're going to see, don't be surprised if you go into the grocery store when they start to open up here and see the real prices, and people are going to be screaming about gouging when it's not gouging. It's what the price happened when people are getting ready to bid the price up.
Yeah, the only thing I can hope about this kind of a bailout system is that more people start to go, hey, if the Fed can just give us all money, what are we paying taxes for again?
Well, it's interesting if you mention that. There are some economists that have said no taxes needed. Just have the Fed print the money, and
there you go.
All of it.
You just have them print the money.
Washington is relying on this. Yes, they ensure that cash keeps coursing through the system. Congress wants to go much further. They've approved a $454 billion to reload the Fed's own ability to lend. So the Fed now can be lender of resort, not instead of the Congress, instead of bonds in the Treasury. Washington is relying on the Fed. This is the executive people are relying on the Fed in an unprecedented degree in peacetime to preserve business balance sheets after elected officials and private industry have put the economy into the equivalent of a medically induced coma. Now, it's interesting that they say that the economy is in a medically induced coma. Well, and the people that have done it, elected officials and private industry. Well,
it was elected officials is who did it.
Yes, elected officials for sure. In order to stop the spread of the epic pandemic. Now, of course, the other thing we talked about here, and that is this going to come back? If you release, if you even it out this hump, and you still have this here. If you release the hounds, is it all going to come back?
Right.
I don't think anybody knows.
Well, I think that I think everybody does know, and I think that the answer is yes. Let me clarify. This virus, as I understand it, is a novel virus. It's new, so the humans who are on the planet right now don't have the proper defense mechanisms for it. So everybody's got to get it before people start building natural antibodies to this particular coronavirus. So it's going to spread around, and people are going to get it eventually because it's extremely contagious. So everybody's going to get it eventually. This is just a question of when. And the concept is, from my perspective, you can't shut down the whole economy and then let everybody get it. You have to have the economy working so that people can be served as...
Well, that's the same thing, you know, when they talk about fossil fuels and everything, you have to have fossil fuels before you can clean up the environment. I mean, otherwise you've got no money to do it with. Now, what I thought was interesting, though, as a little aside, I was watching a YouTube. I love YouTube because it's got everything. They were talking about the mass extinctions from the first one. They've had like 5 of them, and the first one was like 450 billion years ago or something. Forget the little one here with the dinosaurs, you know. But they were talking about one mass extinction that 95% of the sea life
that
gone.
Was the great dying.
The great dying, right? I'm thinking here, look, you know. And some of these, before the Great Dying and everything, life was on the planet for 500 million years before the Great Dying, and on 2 or 3 occasions it had been for literally 100 or 200 or 300 million years, and then there was a dying. Either from the volcano one was one of them, the other one was a temperature change or something, and so
asteroid impact.
That was the 206. That was the 65 billion.
Well, there's a bunch of those.
Okay, but. My point is, I'm thinking humans have been here as humans for an eye blink of about 10,000 or 15,000 years since Homo sapiens have been here. Well, they were Neanderthals were still here 10,000, 15,000 years.
Yeah. I mean, they say 600,000, whatever. Go ahead.
Okay, but for not that long.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about tens of thousands of years instead of millions.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So this may turn out that this is the way we're going to eliminate the humans, and so that we're going to have the great. But the beauty of it is, it's only humans, and so but there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. What are you talking? There's a lot of people in the enviro people that say there's too many humans. I'm saying this is the great culling.
If there's no humans left, there's nobody to know.
I know that. That's what I'm saying. The dinosaurs don't know they're dead. I mean, they're not.
Look, this is not going to wipe out anything.
Wiping them out. I'm saying
this is going to kill.
This is a hint of the coming wipeout, because this is going to mutate.
Well, see, here's the thing. People have to remember the Spanish flu was very deadly for a while, and then it mutated and became 10 times as deadly. 10 times. This could easily do that. I mean, we've had flus before. The Hong Kong flu was 100% lethal.
Really?
If you got it, you just lay down in the freaking coffin because you're not getting back up.
You know, it's funny.
You drive yourself to the morgue because that's where you're going to be. It's 48 hours. You catch it within 48 hours. Everybody died.
No.
Yes. What do you mean, no? Yes.
Well, I'm thinking about the bubonic plague. Not everybody died from that.
No, that wasn't as bad as the Hong Kong flu. The good news about a flu like the Hong Kong flu is it kills off all of its hosts before they can spread it. Like I said, they get it, and within 48 hours, you're dead. So you don't have time to spread it to anybody else.
Well, they did, though.
Well, not that many people. They kept it in check. The Hong Kong flu wasn't that bad. It was in the 60s. I mean, people don't even know about it. I mean,
was that the bird flu?
No, that was recently.
Okay.
This was a major serious. I mean, the bird flu we had kills.
When was the
30% or something? Yeah, that was again just a few decades ago.
Okay.
But
we'll have to look that up. We can Google that and find out.
Well, I'm just saying this particular one. 80%, 90% of the people out there are going to be fine. They should really call this the silent flu because it's going to kill the silent generation people. Okay. You know, the boomer flu or something.
Yeah, the boomer flu.
But it is not that deadly for young people by literally all accounts.
Boomer flu, yeah, maybe because I'm pre-boomer.
Yeah, well, you're silent gen.
Yeah,
technically.
I am. Yeah.
Right at the beginning.
We don't even classify my generation.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me finish this off here a little bit. The president, the economic rescue legislation signed by President Trump asks the Fed to charge headlong into credit and fiscal policy by financing businesses, states, and cities. This is the helicopter money kind of stuff. And these are areas the central bank has normally regarded as matters best left to the elected officials in Congress and the White House. Now they're being charged with taking over, some of that stuff. The Fed is going to directly inject the money outside of Congress and the White House. Congress is the Fed's boss. Now, I yellow line this because not really. The Fed is supposed to be independent and is supposed to be able to do anything it wants. I think that Congress.
Yeah, but look, everybody knows. I mean, when you look closely at that arrangement, what happened was this: the people went out to Jekyll Island and they said, "Look, tell you what. Why don't you give us control of the money supply, and we'll make sure that it goes fine."
Mm-hmm.
And the stupid Roosevelt and his team or whatever were like, "Okay, you can have it."
This was Wilson.
Was that? Okay, yeah, okay.
Wilson is the one that signed that into.
So okay, so then since that time, they have controlled the money supply. And if you think about what that means, it literally means they can manipulate one side of every single contract on the planet that's denominated in dollars by changing the value, the actual value of the actual paper dollar. And so.
Oh, they weren't able to do it. They weren't able to do it until 1933.
Well, that's why I said Roosevelt and those guys.
Yeah,
because that's when they took it off the gold standard. That's when it really became. Well, and then of course Nixon in '71 from the international gold standard. But what's happened is at this point, by now, people should realize that the paper dollars are worth nothing. They're literally worth nothing.
I always like the thing that the Treasury or whoever can take a perfectly good piece of paper, slap ink on both sides, and make it worthless.
Yeah. So look, it used to be a promissory note for something.
You can't even write one.
No.
You look at the Zimbabwe the Zimbabwe $1 trillion. You can't even make notes on it. It's covered in ink.
It's amazing, and to think that the foreigners are going to look over at us and think, oh, well, they're just adding a few $1 trillion to the money supply.
I'm thinking, at what point does the currency become as cheap as toilet paper?
Well, it becomes that. It becomes that level when all the foreign governments divest of their treasuries.
Yeah.
And the question is, are they going to do that? Now, they're all deflating their currencies as fast as possible also.
Right. Well, what I thought was interesting, and I did talk about it here, was that the people that normally are, quote, fiscally responsible, it was 96-0,
right?
In the Senate. These are the people.
There is no opposition to the spending at this point.
Well, and they're loving it.
Right.
I mean,
go ahead.
When I say the Fed has essentially unlimited power to lend during a crisis, unlimited power.
Well, why did they let it get to a crisis then?
I don't know. As long as the officials consider their loans well secured.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. We already seen that. We saw those well secured loans in Iceland where they went down the toilet because they weren't well secured. They were shit. Those monetized mortgages or whatever they call
credit default swap.
Credit default swap. It was crap.
Right.
It wasn't even worth the paper it was printed on, literally.
Right.
And so do you trust these guys to well secure these loans? They never. If they're going to.
I don't. It's humans.
No.
It's humans.
Right.
You can't give them that much power.
You go into the bank, and especially if the government says we're going to back it with our paper, and you go to the bank, and this is what happened when they had the sign and go mortgages in the
ninja loans
2006. You could just walk in there.
Fog this mirror.
Yeah, fog this mirror.
Well, look here. Look. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Congress has given the central bank, which is the Fed, the flexibility, quote unquote, to ramp up lending because the Treasury will agree to absorb the losses. Well, the Treasury, what are you talking about? The Treasury doesn't have any money. I mean, they're going to absorb the losses. How? That's our money that they're going to absorb it with.
Right. They're going to absorb it by inflating.
Right.
By inflating, and then we're all going to pay, like you said, when you go to the store and you buy bacon for $20 a pound, you should remember that extra $18 or $16 or whatever it is over and above the price you pay today is just going to pay for these bailouts.
This is a quote. This is a Republican guy, Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania. This is an opportunity to leverage the unlimited balance sheet of the Fed, he told reporters last week.
Why did they need an opportunity?
What's what I'm saying? It's totally unprecedented. And here's the thing. we're hoping that it's a mechanism to keep business alive.
Well, it's a good thing they're hoping.
It's a good thing.
I hope they're hoping strongly.
Well, I'm hoping strongly, but of course, as I've said so many times in the past, hope is not a business plan.
Yeah, that's
okay, you hope and it fails, and then what? Gosh, I don't know.
Exactly. Now, I want to bring up something that people I've been seeing online everywhere.
Okay.
Some libertarian will chime in and say, "Oh my God, what the hell with this multi-trillion-dollar bailout and all this stuff?" And then somebody will come back and say, "Well, what's the libertarian plan?"
Mm-hmm.
And the person will say, "Well, I don't know. I don't have a plan." And it's like, no, that's wrong. Okay, let me tell you, everybody, what the libertarian solution is. It's very clear. Libertarians don't offer a specific solution to every problem. We offer a system of solutions. The system is freedom. Okay, the system is let people find solutions.
Let the market figure
That's what I'm talking about.
It's the market. It's the
you want the
non-aggression
collective
principle.
intelligence of everybody working on this thing.
And they're a little smarter than our 7 guys down here in the city.
Because it includes those 7 guys.
Right.
It's those 7 guys are part of the market.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to harness everyone's intelligence to deal with the situation?
Well, of course, it automatically is harnessed if there are no. I love this when they say unbridled capitalism. Who's going to do the bridling?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They want to bridle it.
I know.
And then it's not. Then it's Joe's capitalism. It's or whoever the bridler is.
Yeah.
And he sets the mask price at $363.
That's what Mrs. Jimmy did.
I understand.
She set the price for the masks.
Look, everybody who's a statist right now is looking around. I see it all over the place. Oh my God, will the president please provide some guidance? Will the governor please force people to do this and that? Shut up, okay? You deal with it yourself, okay? That's the best way. It's the way that the most people are going to get involved. If you just go out and deal with your circumstances and you communicate with other people, you will find solutions to these things, and as long as the government stays out of the freaking way.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now we're facing this incredible thing on multiple fronts.
I know that I've talked to some people that are all excited about their $1,200.
Oh, I'm sure tons of people.
I know where I'm going to spend. I'm thinking, Jesus, that's it.
Well, look, you can't blame them. Other people say, well, what? How come libertarians are taking the $1,200? Look, it's a refund. All right, they already took your money.
Yeah.
And so you better take the check and cash it, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. But to think that this is such a consolation prize. I mean, we all get $1,200. Do you know how much the banks are going to get? Trillions.
Yeah.
They're going to get money. They are literally awash. They're going to be in their vaults with the coins, just like Scrooge McDuck throwing money around.
Yeah.
That's where they are right now. I mean, that's how much they're loving it so much. It's amazing.
You got to realize when you look at a bank building, I was looking at one that was from, on one of those, in the YouTube, they have pictures of from the 20s and 30s and 40s, they show just still pictures. And there were bank buildings, during the Depression that were just a huge, really nice places. When you realize that it was all done on borrowed money, basically, it was on a fractional reserve system, because what happened is when you go in there, everybody deposits $1,000. Well, they get to loan out, 900 of it, and the rest of it can go towards and the interest on that goes towards the building. Well, yeah, but that's not even a fractional reserve system. I mean, in a fractional reserve system, if they get $1,000, they loan out $10,000. Right, that's what I meant. Yeah. And so then they only got $1,000. But look, that's the bank's individual choice. And by the way, all the reserve requirements have been waived at this point? Yes, I saw that. So you don't have to have any. And of course, you got to ask yourself, if all the reserve requirements, then you can loan out every penny of what you have, and not worry. When there's a default, who's going to pay? Nobody. No. Why? This is what. Look, this situation is going to create. It's unprecedented. Well, it is. It's going to create so many hideous ripples throughout the economy that we're going to have to live with over the coming years. It's amazing, and nobody would come out except with that one guy just wanted a roll call vote that Massey, that Republican from Kentucky, but they pilloried his ass. Well, it was kind of stupid if you think about it. Look, since it's a unanimous vote, you know who voted for it. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, he just wanted people's names on the record.
But
like you say, if it's unanimous, then
they're on the record.
Well, of course, I suppose what they can say,
I yelled nay.
or I was one of the 4 that didn't vote.
Right, well, but no, they were like absent or something. Like that was
I was. You could say
Randall.
I was absent.
Well, you would know. I mean, we would know. Look, if you showed up, you said if you showed up. No, but there's no recorded vote where anybody yelled nay.
Right.
So everybody voted for it, and yet you still have. You see AOC out there criticizing the whole thing, flapping her arms like and yet you got to ask yourself, well, look, every single person on your side of the aisle voted for this as well. I mean, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we've all been jacked at this point. I mean, we were robbed, and nobody is even going to say anything about it. At least
big robbery.
Man, I mean, whew. We knew this was coming. We said it in 2008. We said you do this once, you're setting it up for doing it again.
This is what
there's no other way.
This was what they call the moral hazard.
Right.
And it started. When it started, and people were was in 1980.
Right.
With the $7 billion
savings and loan.
No. With $7 billion bailout of Chrysler.
That's right.
That was the first one.
And everybody
said, "Wait a minute."
Just Chrysler.
Yeah. They said, you do this now. Look out! This is a moral hazard.
Right.
Well, like you say, then.
And that's why using the money that they got in 2008, all the airlines did stock buybacks, and everybody did all that kind of stuff.
Now they're saying, of course, you can't do that. Supposedly.
Big deal.
Yeah,
they're going to get bailed out anyway. I mean, it's.
I saw where. Who was it? The Schiff, not Peter Schiff, but Adam Schiff, said he wants Hollywood to be bailed out.
Well, look, everybody
and the cruise ships want to be bailed out.
Well, look, the word bailout these days is like it is such a kind, gentle, good-hearted word.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to create money out of thin air and I'm going to give it to the people who need it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're not even thinking about, Jesus, wait a minute. Like,
well, it was interesting because where they hung their hat on was these couple of cruise ships that are basically offshore because they have some virus people in there. They said, we need a bailout. Because
everybody needs a bailout.
Yeah.
And that's what they said. We're going to bail out everybody. But everybody should, in their minds, when they hear that somebody is going to bail out everybody, you got to think one of two things. Either this person has the money or they don't, and we know they don't because they literally are telling us.
Yeah.
And they're literally saying they have infinite cash, and technically they do, but it means that all of your savings and everything you have denominated in dollars is going to lose value because the dollar is going to tank. And the question is, at what point do the only thing we got going for us is that there are no major currencies whose countries have accumulated any reasonable store of gold. We have all the gold. We still have tons of gold relative to the other countries, if you can believe the reports. And
it's interesting you mentioned that because there was we're over time, but there was a thing on the futures market where you can buy gold. You can, and as you know, it's all like on the futures market, a lot of stuff's leveraged. Well, what's happening is apparently some of those people that shorted gold are now going to have to buy it. And they said the problem is the delivery. You got a delivery problem,
right? Because
some of the gold, it's not in the right. The contracts say 100-ounce bars of 99.9 gold. Well, they're not. There's not where they have to remelt a lot of the gold down and then put it certified. It's going to take weeks and some of the smelters are out of business. Not out of business. They've closed down because they can't find anybody to work there. So the fact is, if you want to take delivery of gold these days, apparently it just ain't going to happen. And if you want to go down here to the coin shop and you want to price out a Krugerrand, be prepared to pay a 20%.
Well, exactly. The market is not reflecting what the value of gold is right now. But
it is.
Look, if the Chinese or if anybody major divests themselves of their dollars into gold, then you're going to see a doubling or a tripling of the gold price.
Thank you, Peter Schiff.
Well, and he's been warning everybody for a long time, and of course he was too early because nobody else can see. We were too. Look, we've been calling for the end of this thing since about 2009.
Yeah.
And
we said by 2012 that poop's going to hit the fan.
I was sure before. I certainly didn't think he'd make
Jimmy Doane shows from that time all say that.
I know. We were just a little bit too far ahead. All right, I wanted to just go through a couple of things here. Oh, one thing, everybody, what we don't want to do in this whole thing is go to isolationism. I keep hearing people say, well, let's cut ties with China, decouple, and all this kind of stuff. Look, don't. Look, the trading circle, the breadth of the trading circle is part of the reason we have the vast wealth we have. If you cut off pieces of the trading circle, you're not going to have components that you need for all the stuff that you need. So we have to leave the supply chains in place. Nobody should panic about that kind of stuff. But geez, man, I wish they would just get rid of the regulations at this point. I did see it where a medical school let their students graduate early, a couple of months, so that they could help on the front lines. It's like, duh.
Yeah, they made them doctors right off the bat.
So the one interesting question is, and I'll do this slideshow. This is a slideshow of this is just day by day the numbers. Everybody probably knows these things. I'll just leave this up for a second while I talk about another question that we don't know anything about is India and Africa.
Right.
How come there hasn't been an explosion in those not very sanitary, very highly packed?
Well, I did see something on India. First of all, the entire country's locked down.
Yeah. Now
it's all locked down. What I did see was in India. There's some town in India, and they showed these the police people or the enforcers. They're riding around on motorcycles and they have a whip.
Yeah, they beat people
and people that are out, on their motorcycles,
right,
and with apparently not necessary stuff, and they're beating the crap out of these people. And there was this one guy who couldn't start his motorcycle to get out of the way,
right,
and there was 3 guys beating him up with it. I'm thinking, Jesus, you talk about. I'd rather just be arrested. I don't know.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
In other countries, what I'm saying is, in other countries, they're talking about, literally arresting you. And what it gets me about this is, what is interesting is people are saying we're all in this together. One of the things that you find is that, as we have seen so often, you can get a segment of the population that is against the other segment. For instance, the guards at Auschwitz, the people on the wall in Berlin, the cops. As far as they're concerned, you're a miscreant, and you're sitting there saying, "What are you talking about here? I'm just out here doing my own thing. It's against the law. Here's a ticket, and if you try and get away, kaboom!" This is you can find the enforcers that's your neighbor, and
but it won't last long. They don't have enough of those enforcers in this country to keep people out of.
But the people have to realize that there's not enough. As you know. What the IRS does all the time is to make an example.
Right.
Wesley Snipes goes to jail.
Right.
And, people say, well, I guess I got to pay my taxes.
Exactly. And they'll do that. They'll do that a little bit. But I'm saying at some point, some big company's going to break ranks, and then we'll see.
I'm with you.
I want to... hey, Scott, how's it going here, buddy? Hey, TJ. Let me check a couple of your comments real quick. Oh, thanks. Dad's shirt looks nice, as Scott says.
Yes, of course he does.
How long will this last? Well, we gave you that answer. A few more weeks, and that's it. Sweden didn't close anything. Yeah, they may be dealing with some blowback, and maybe not. We still don't know. Oregon is letting people pump their own gas. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is. One of 2 states, I think, where you're still not allowed to pump your own gas.
Right. Oh, TJ got your Total Recall reference. 2 weeks.
Yes, of course he did. Who wouldn't? 2 weeks.
TJ, we do have ventilators, and we can get beds. They've gotta let some capitalism go. The Hong Kong flu, yeah. Yeah, right. No, it's not Hong Kong flu. Buying votes, well, maybe. All right. Anyway, glad you guys could join us here. What is that? Did it stop there? Did we freeze up at some point?
Yeah, we froze up with my lip in a cup or something. Okay, good. We're back now.
I don't know. No. It's hard to say.
It's after 5 o'clock. We're going to have to...
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. This has been the Jimmy Doane Show.
And we'll be here Wednesday for sure, since I don't have to go in the hospital and have my stent put in.
Yeah, how about that?
I thought it was interesting though that, you know, the hospital's just about cleaned out. The only people that are there are the super emergency people. You know, these are the ones that are on death's door. Apparently my huge aneurysm, which is 9 centimeters, is not an emergency.
Well, yeah, 9 centimeters. Wow, that's big.
It's like 4 inches or something.
Nice. All right, well, hey, thanks, Kevin MacLeod, for these tracks. We really appreciate it. I'm Councilor Curtis, and as he said, we'll be back. You can find us around the web in audio format. Search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E. Should have said at the beginning.
Give us a like.
Yeah.
5 stars, whatever it is.
That's right. And sorry about the freezing here. I'm not sure what that's all about or when that happened. So anyway, I'll post a copy of this thing up on YouTube, and then it'll be there. So
It'll be timestamped.
yes. So
Although it went all over the place, I don't know what the timestamp's going to look like.
stupid thing froze there. I wonder when that happened. All right. See you soon.